Greetings and welcome to the Gearvana Podcast. I'm Mike, that's Dewald, that's Mark, and this is being recorded on the 4th of May. May the 4th be with you. Wait, it's not this. Oh,
no.
Entirely the wrong thing.
Something, different galaxy.
You can't blame us. We're guitar players. We don't know
far
about
away.
These things.
We do know about these things. Have you seen my Star Wars posters?
No, I haven't. I haven't been to your house. Or I haven't been to your
actually
house.
not at my house. They in the storeroom next door.
Okay.
I shall go get it. No.
We'll break them out. How you doing, Mark?
Oh, good. And you, thanks, man.
Oh, cool. Excited to talk about gear. This is, of course, recorded for the 11th of May. So, a week in advance. So a lot can change. I mean, we could say some stuff on here and then that company's out of business by next week whenever the podcast actually comes out.
And the idea is to start doing it live at one point, but we're just at the moment...
Softly.
Yeah, so let's just go back to what's that thing that we have to put at the start of this episode?
The disclaimer. Well, let me actually tell you guys what the podcast is about. It's about guitar gear. It's about talking about guitar gear, perving over guitar gear, and just having a good time reveling in the awesomeness of guitar gear and studio gear. We like some studio gear too, yeah.
And while having our own opinions about this. So disclaimer, all the opinions mentioned in here are our own personal opinions and has got nothing to do with...
Who we work for.
And...
Who do we work for? Is it the government, man?
So while saying that, shout out to Marshall Music for making this possible and Rode Microphones for all the amazing gear they've given us. These Rode...
Pod mics.
And
the Procaster. And the PSA-1 arms.
And this Class A servo biased preamps Apex on board.
Rode thing. A Rodecaster Pro.
Rodecaster Pro.
Box behind my head.
Shout out to Rode for making this possible.
Yeah, you guys are awesome most of the time. No, all of the time.
All the time. So
when you say that, then it just implies like, oh, what went wrong? But nothing, I was just joking.
Yeah, so our opinions are completely unbiased except when it comes to Marshall Music and Rode. We love you guys.
Oh, well, I mean, we're all going to have our own intrinsic biases, let's be honest. Whether it's informed by our own experience or by affiliations or whatever. So, yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Of course,
but we all
make
love
up your
Rode.
own mind.
But we love Rode.
We do, yes. Unquestionably, we love Rode.
In studio, even Mark was saying a couple of weeks ago that he had one of the original.
Actually, I need to actually bring it in. We need the guys to fix it. So the original.
Yeah, Rodes never break.
The Rode mine did, but not because of
it's a
not factory fault. It's the original classic, and
it's a tequila fault.
I took a bit of a dive, so it's got a couple of dents.
Tequila fault. Look, so some gear is really tough, but it's not all impervious to massive impacts.
I need. Hopefully, the guys in Cape Town can do this. They've serviced it once before.
Yeah, let's get it to them and let's see. What we are going to also see is the guitar of the week. Let's have a look at it. Thanks to Marshall Music for allowing me to take the guitar with me.
Really?
Oh my goodness!
Pull it out.
Hit it. What guitar? Tell us what guitar that is, Mike.
This is an Epiphone Jared James Nichols signature Gold Glory Blues Power Les Paul. So there's a lot of words there, but kind of where it's got a double gold finish. I mean, you check how deep the gold is.
That is like proper gold.
Check it's like quite satin as well, which is really interesting.
Stunning.
You've got an ebony fingerboard. Oh, it makes sounds. Look at that. Who would have thought?
Welcome to Sounds.
Well, we'll make some sounds in a bit. Got a dog ear P90. This is a Seymour Duncan. Really cool. Got the ebony board, a big fat neck as well, like a 50s style neck. It's interesting because it's a Les Paul custom, basically, with binding on both sides.
Very nice, like satin kind of finish.
Yeah, satin finish on the neck.
Sorry, I missed it. You did. It's mahogany.
Oh yeah, mahogany, like all mahogany, basically. Also got a really cool detail on the back, the stinger. I don't know if you guys can see that. So the black on the back of the headstock going into a point. Of course, there's a few stickers there getting in the way, but this is a classic sort of Gibson thing.
And the Jared James Nichols signature.
Signature on the back. He's an amazing player, by the way. If you guys haven't heard Jared James Nichols.
For a white guy.
Jeez. Okay. Very, very good player. He's like very classic rock kind of blues thing, hence the blues power on here. But just the vibe of this guitar is cool. Like a wrap tail piece. It's got the lightning, they call this the lightning bar, so it's got the intonation there. Single pickup, volume and tone, no pickup selector, no pick guard or anything. Just really unique. You don't get a Les Paul custom in gold, number one. And you don't get one that's this gold, like from anything, really.
And the ebony fretboard as well.
Yeah, ebony fretboard's very cool on Epiphones. These are about $749. I guess in brand terms, that's probably about $15K retail. Weirdly with these, because this is a limited edition, I think they're only making 1,000 total. They actually sell for like $1,000, $1,200 on Reverb. So actually for an Epiphone, it's a pretty good investment. But all the Epiphone limited editions the last few years have been pretty good investments, like all of the Gearvana Master guitars, like the Lazarus and whatever. They
the Lee Malia.
Yeah.
I want that. I saw that going up on
on SA Music Store.
Sam is because I wanted to buy that from Marshall when it's out. Lee Malia, the Bring Me Horizon guitars. His Epiphone. Yeah, that thing is.
Yeah, that's cool.
So sorry, I digress. But
you're digressing. Let's digress. Make some sounds, Mark? You wanna? So we're just running through a Strymon Iridium and a TC Flashback.
Iridium set to a Fender amp,
and we got a drive pedal on an Earthquaker Devices special cranker. Thanks for the volume on the guitar down, yeah?
First impressions, Mark, tell us what you think.
It feels amazing. Like this, and this shop setup, eh?
Yeah, no, actually, it was set up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was going to say, goodness, good.
Shop setup. I was like, whoa.
That feels good. Yeah, no, it feels great.
Shout out JD Custom.
Yeah.
JD Custom.
Very nice. Yeah.
Very cool guitar. And I think a lot of people, what they also say about these like single pickup, single P90 kind of guitars is some people think that with the less magnetic pull that the guitar will actually, ring a little bit more. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just a psychoactive kind of.
But wait, don't put it down because Jared James Nichols, we need a plexi. So let's hit the plexi. Slight bit of drive.
Oh, he actually plays a Black Star now.
Is it?
Yeah, he's got a signature Black Star amp.
Sounds nice, actually.
He doesn't, you don't have the guitar faces of Jared James Nichols. I don't know if you've seen, but he pulls the like craziest like faces. Yeah. And he's huge as well. He's like 6'9" or something. So he's like, Les Paul looks like a tiny guitar on him, man. He's like massive.
We'll put some Jared James Nichols guitar faces on here now.
So we don't have to pull them. So
no.
I didn't need to do that on camera.
Do you think I need to put that on Mark's face? Well,
maybe on Mark's face.
Listen, you got to,
to get us a clean tone there. That's the guitar of the week. We move on to gear of the week. Yeah. Keep the guitar, Mark. We might as well make some more sounds. Let's go back to clean. We got clean.
I think that's clean.
Yeah.
That should be Fender-ish.
Okay. Well, here's the other thing that's interesting with the gear of the week is Earthquaker Devices.
Yay!
It's been in South Africa before. There's been a couple companies that have done them on like small sort of scales. Marshall Music doing them as well. So we got something that's a brand new release. It actually was released last week internationally everywhere in the world. And we already had it, which is quite interesting. That would be the special cranker, which I should have probably unplugged first before doing this. So we're going to put that on screen, right?
We'll put that on screen.
Because I'm going to try and pull this pedal up and then just unplug everything, right? So yeah, the special cranker. It's basically a pedal that they've been doing for a while called the speaker cranker. That they've sort of modified. It was done only for the Japanese market for a bit. It's got germanium transistors and silicon transistors, so it's kind of a fuzzy sort of drive. It's pretty interesting sounding. We're at maximum drive with EQ in the middle, and that's on the germanium side.
It's fuzzy, but
not super fuzzy.
Yeah, it's not like.
Should we go over the silicon side? A bit more aggressive.
That's lekker.
And it also cleans up super well because of those. See, all the high end is still there, which is really cool. Because that's what fuzzers do, is they keep the high end super well when you roll back. Pretty cool pedal there, Mark.
Yeah, no.
And this is one of the milder things that they make, because most of the stuff they make is for sonic terrorism and destruction, basically, and dying robots.
Yes.
That's kind of what Earthquaker Devices do. So if you want to check them out, go to Marshall Music, check them out online. There's quite a range. You get things like the Bit Commander and the Rainbow and all sorts of things that give you fancy sounds that sound like the death of something. Some kind of life form or artificial intelligence.
And also what I dig is I went through, Jason at Marshall Music went through the range of Earthquaker Devices that they got in. And it's really like weird pedals. It's not like your average overdrive delay. It's like they've got a delay, but then it's got like weird shit going on. I don't know. I dig it.
Well, can you send the gain down on there? But better to check.
It's 1 o'clock on the game. Go over to the germanium. Sounds really good. So that's the Earthquaker Special Cranker. And of course, you guys can check out all the stuff online. Of course, it exists in the world. So I guess you could also order direct from Earthquaker if you're in a part of the world you can't get it from Marshall Music.
If you're not in South Africa.
If you're not in South Africa.
Or Namibia.
Or Nambia.
Nambia.
Yes.
Namibia.
Yeah, so I mean, the range is pretty cool. It's actually, as far as I recall, the guy who started Earthquaker Devices is the guitar tech of Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys. So they're from Akron, Ohio. That's where the pedals are made.
Makes sense.
And that kind of makes sense, you know, with the kind of tones that you're getting, because you're getting that kind of lo-fi stuff. And most of the stuff is, again, more on the sort of avant-garde sonic experimentation kind of thing. But you get pedals like the Westwood, which is kind of their sort of clonish pedal. There's the Plumes, which is their tube screamer. Plenty of those in stock. So you can, of course, check out the normal things. There's the Reaper, which is the sort of tone bender kind of pedal.
Jason also mentioned the Plume actually, like, has difference. Got the 808, the 9, like, different. So it's not just the tube screamer, it's actually... variants of the tube screamer.
Yeah, and I'm pleasantly surprised by how cheap they are. I don't know, that sounds like, I don't mean build quality, I just mean like they've come in pretty affordably. Like, I don't know why the other guys couldn't do it affordably, but they are pretty affordable. Like, versus,
it's not plastic.
It's not plastic. And also what I dig is the soft touch switch.
Oh yeah, silent switching.
That's pretty sweet. So definitely give them that. That's my gear of the week. Shameless shill for Marshall Music. Of course, unbiased is what he told everyone, of course, but complete bias, basically.
But they're wrong.
Yeah, they're wrong. So the other thing, I guess,
they're wrong. They rock.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about this for your gear of the week in a minute. So I don't know if you want to plug that in quickly. We'll hit your gear of the week, the Aston.
Because he's Dewald's going to be playing some metal riffs through these.
We're going to try that, or
yeah.
Well, you do your thing. You tell us about your gear of the week.
Yeah, my gear of the week. I don't have one here. I think Dewald's going to be inserting it a bit later into the frame. You won't hear it.
Yeah, you need the ring and the sleeve in there too.
Yes. You want to touch my what?
Yeah, no, my gear of the week is the Aston Spirit microphone. If you guys are looking for a great mic just for recording vocals, even guitars, acoustic guitars, at a really good price, at a really good sound, the Aston Spirit is really, I think, for guys looking for a good microphone, entry-level, mid-level, you know, I think you can do it at any level, really. They're just great microphones. So that's my gear of the week, which I've been using a ton for a couple of years now. Since they came out. And yeah, that's my little pitch.
Your little pitch?
Yes.
Pitching your tent.
Goodness, you got a lot of those insinuations there. We're going that way today.
Oh, that wasn't it at all. You just, like, your mind just went there. I don't know
Goodness.
I wasn't paying attention to anything.
Okay, well, it's very good because your innuendo game is on point.
All right, cool.
So, anyway, what we will say about the Astons, what's quite interesting, is they actually got bought by Music Tribe not too long ago. Music Tribe is the Behringer, Midas, TC Electronics, Clark Technic guys. So that's actually bought by them. So funny enough, there haven't been Astons available in SA that much lately.
Yeah.
Like there are, some stock left.
Are they back in?
Yeah, they will be. They will be pretty soon.
Oh, okay. So they haven't come in since they've been bought over yet.
Not that I know, but I could be wrong.
Goodness, so we don't know what the quality is going to be like.
I don't know. As far as I know, it's made in the same place. So
is it? Okay.
Cortec.
No, not Cortec. But yeah, I mean, they are coming in pretty soon. So there's probably only be Marshall Music and maybe Fast Track that would have them at this stage. A couple other dealers might have them too. But yeah, I mean, that's the Spirit and the Origin and, all of those sorts of things. So yeah, they'll be available again. So at least you didn't plug something that you can't get.
Oh, goodness, it's just like failed now. And then also, like, if it sounds really like nasty, people are going to say, goodness, how's his ears?
I think what we should do is do a follow-up when the first Music Tribe made Aston mics come in. Let's actually test them out and see.
Yeah, because I'd be very interested. Yeah.
I think they'll be pretty good because, I mean, I don't think Music Tribe haven't ruined TC or anything like that. TC pedals are as good as they've ever been. So
yeah.
I don't really sort of buy into that Behringer ruins everything kind of thing. I think that was maybe true 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, no, indeed, yeah.
They kind of a company sort of standing on their own. Although I must say Arturia was suing them not that long ago.
Oh, really?
And of course, we do Behringer and we do Arturia, so that was quite fun.
What was it?
Probably the Mini Moog or one of the synths.
It was one of the synths. I think it was the Micro Freak or one of those. Or no, a Keystep Keystep Pro, I think.
Oh, wow.
Like Behringer does a sort of a variant of it.
Okay.
But that's the first time in a very long time I've heard of one brand going like, you've stolen my thing, So
Well,
we'll see.
Well,
Well,
I mean,
a long time, I said, not recently.
yeah.
Whoa, treading on dangerous ground here, aren't we?
Well,
Meanwhile,
I don't work
I
for
can't
any.
go
I don't,
back
I
to
don't,
the studio because we are in the studio. It's like, the news reporter, it's like, oh crap, we shouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah.
Back to the studio. It's like, we're in the studio.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
Well, while on topics, I just want to
No way out.
I actually saw on Instagram PRS posted a few photos about their artists at Coachella that play PRS guitars.
I thought that was quite sharp. Eh? Like everyone's
Yeah.
banging on Gibson. So like,
Yes.
PRS, we were there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually screen grabbed that because for me it's like we're speaking. No, everybody just plays Fender, man, and here's PRS artists at Coachella.
Jeez,
and
eh?
not cheap, So yeah,
I was very cheeky. It was yesterday on Instagram. Yeah. That was quite fun. Speaking of fun, Friedman.
fun.
Be
Yes.
odd. It's the Friedman Be Odd.
The Be
Why do you
Odd.
want to be odd?
Because
I've got to ask.
it's the best way. Yeah, so my gear of the week is the Friedman Brown Eye Overdrive. That's actually what it's for. The B is really for
So
brown eye.
it's for the brown sound. In other words, the like Van Halen.
I didn't know this, but the BE is actually for brown eye. I dig it.
So not Brown Eyed Girl covers.
No,
It's the
so and that's the only reason why that's my favorite pedal.
just the
That-
name.
just that,
So
yeah.
it's not the tones.
No. That.
Well, should we hear it? I mean, we plugged into it. So.
Yeah, come on, Dewald, give us this.
You want to play, Devil?
Oh, let's play. Let's play. Does anybody have a pick? I'm not like Mark.
I do have a pick. Yeah, I'll give you a pick. Of course, this is a very professional podcast, as you're seeing. We're not cutting or anything. We're just like, trying to figure out how to...
My finger game is not as good as Mark, so just
Sure, yet more innuendo, eh? This one has started well. I mean, badly. So,
I won't play. I won't finger a minor.
Sponsors are.
next week, we'll be announcing new sponsors because of all of that.
So this pedal,
We won't.
I was on a hunt for a hardcore overdrive pedal, and then Danny Smoke had this on Samus, and I was like, bro, I need to have it. So I watched a few reviews, and every review I watched, like, this pedal has just got all the gears. And then I got it from
All the
Danny.
geese.
All the geese. Danny also, like, asked him why he's selling it because it's brand new. So he had it on his board. He's got multiple drive pedals, and like he digs the sound, but had no use for it because it's so. I mean, it's overdrive.
It doesn't. Well, it doesn't really do just overdrive.
It's just overdrive.
like
It's more distortion.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and even with the attenuator on the inside all the way down, it's still just overdrive, which I thought, like, well, that's what I want.
Well, there you go. Well, let's hear it.
Because chicks dig it. And so this is the drive all the way down. I think that's the gain.
We hope so.
I don't know. I
The
can't
pedal's
see.
not on. So.
Yeah, but like, so that's clean.
clean?
And then,
So the drive on 0.
so that's drive on 0. Oh shit, what am I playing? So that's drive on 0.
Should we go to 12 o'clock? Yeah,
Let's do it. So and I am
it does its job.
I am just
proper.
digging it. So and even now,
I mean, bearing in mind, single coil pickup doing that.
single coil. And for me that's just insane. So now my favorite part, as I was telling Mark earlier, is my favorite guitar at the moment. I know we're jumping every week, but that's what this podcast is about. It's Gearvana. So I got it for sheer vet, and the one that Grant,
It's like a Strat style.
yeah, it's a style guitar, and so with custom for sheer pickups, which are like very low output, very vintage vibes, and I put some 9s on it. Because my girl fingers. Remember we spoke about the do some my blisters. So I
But
put
between your girly fingers and your powerlifting, but
that's the thing. Yeah, I've got girly fingers, and
He wears gloves when he powerlifts.
I does. So between the 9s, the low output pickups, and that thing, oh my goodness. So yeah, I'm
and the
absolutely,
Humber, you get a lot of like single coil.
not at all. Like it actually, well, yeah. So with my setup, it's actually quite fun. I use an orange stamp as my amp. I had a using Kettner that I sold.
Yeah.
And I've got the orange stamp, 20
Terra
watts.
stamp, yeah.
Yeah, the Terra stamp. And so slightly overdriven. Slightly, slightly. And then with that thing, it just it sounds insane into a Mesa 1x12 cab. Chicks dig it. You know,
I mean, your chick is here. Should we get her and just?
But that's the thing.
I feel like your claim needs to be verified.
My reference is my chick, and she digs it.
Oh, okay. Allegedly.
No, she does.
We'll get confirmation later.
She came to me after me playing, and she's just like, you know what? I dig it. And then
I thought there was going to be more innuendo there. Actually, I'm kind of glad that didn't happen. To be honest,
I'm trying to keep it clean, but she dug it.
Okay.
She came. She was like, "Bro, your fingering game
on point."
And I was whittling quite a bit.
Just. Anyway, we can move on. That's the Friedman BEOD.
Brown Eye Overdrive.
There we go. For the brown sound, the Van Halen sound.
The brown sound. I dig it.
The 80s
my favorite
hot rodded Marshall on a weird power supply with a broken preamp tube kind of vibe
thing.
Is that what it is?
No, not a broken preamp tube, but running. I think he ran his Marshalls on a different voltage to change the tonality and make it overdrive a bit easier.
Sure.
So I think he was running too much voltage, if I recall correctly. But anyway, I can't. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway. So what's the hot news for this week? Not a lot, because the thing is NAMM is actually coming up in about a month, and most of the manufacturers are waiting for that, to be honest. They're going to wait until, probably the week into NAMM, we'll already start seeing some big stuff happening. Would have loved to bring you coverage from NAMM. Was going to go, but decided not to after all. So it's just one of those things. I mean, a lot of the guys from the Far East can't come because the China's locked down at every hint of COVID kind of thing. So it's made it a bit difficult. It'll be the first more normal NAMM in a while, but next year, April, NAMM should be back to normal. We'll see the usual stuff.
I don't think it's worth the while. I mean, if it's not a full NAMM. So
you kind of want everyone to be there because like this, I think Fender's probably never going to do it again. Is
really
what I gather from them, because they're in California. They're like a 30 minute drive away. So all they do is
isn't the one in Europe
not really happening anymore. Music Messe, Frankfurt Music Messe isn't a thing anymore. It's basically just Frankfurt had Music Messe and Pro Light and Sound. Pro Light and Sound is still going, but Music Messe is done. Okay. So, you can go and see PA systems and stuff like that at Frankfurt. That was actually 2 weeks ago, by the way.
Sure.
So, like some brands like SSL and like broadcast kind of guys will go to that as well. But yeah, NAMM is actually the premier music show. And it's also, we'll have to see if it survives, because a lot of the manufacturers now are also saying, well, during COVID, they've learned how to sort of release stuff without having to spend all the expense, because it's so much money to be there, to build the stand, to make it look awesome. And they always
take all your gear there.
Take all your gear, build a bunch of stuff in a huge rush to be ready for that. And then you entertain.
And it's just over a weekend, eh?
Yeah, it usually starts like Thursday into a weekend. This time around, it's actually 1 day shorter. It was going to be three days instead of 4 days. And it was like basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I don't know what that says, but like Fender, you can see why they maybe wouldn't, because they're in the neighborhood. So if people are at NAMM anyway, it's kind of, it's easy for them, and then they don't have to spend money, and people will just go to their factory the day before. A lot of the guys do that as well. So like usually there's a Taylor Guitars event the day before. There's like an Apogee event the day before.
Well, there's a lot of builders that I know that are out there. So that's probably why. Like I know Sir obviously have their
out that side. I was also talking to GNL a little while ago. They're saying also they're not going to be there, but if you want to come to the factory, it's also around the corner.
Yeah,
so.
but I think with the internet these days, as everybody's just using, it's such an avenue for people to put the stuff out. I mean,
I think it's changed things like fundamentally. So for the hot news of the week is I'm not going to NAMM.
Me
feel
neither.
sorry for me. Don't feel sorry.
Don't worry, I'm not going either.
Yeah, you were thinking of going.
I was definitely thinking of going.
It's an awesome event. I've been a few times. Been to Music Messe probably way more times, and like it's very cool. But like if you're going for business, you don't have a lot of time to actually do the cool stuff. The cool stuff you'll do the days before NAMM. Where you maybe go on a factory tour. In 2019, we actually went to the Taylor factory right after, on the Monday after NAMM. That was awesome because you got a bit of time about it. You get to meet some of the important people at Taylor, check how they build stuff, have amazing tacos because it's just outside San Diego, so it's a bit of a drive, but it's very cool. That's kind of what's valuable. But I think for the average Joe, in the average Joe, like if you can't go to it, mostly you can't, what is cool is that whole week of like all the awesome new stuff coming out. And if we get away from doing the trade show thing and doing the NAMM or the music mess or whatever, we're not going to have that cycle every year, a particular time when all the awesome stuff comes out.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a bit of a shame, because that as gearheads,
compared to like all good stuff coming out all year round.
yeah, but it is, but
Does it just
it's
lose
also
the
it's
impact
nice if
of-
you want a budget to buy something cool to know that time of year is
Okay.
when the cool stuff is
Yeah.
coming out. So a few months later you're going to probably have it in your territory, whereas if it's taking you by surprise and you haven't budgeted for it,
Yeah.
it's a little bit different. But I don't know, maybe I'm a dinosaur and a relic of a lost age that's gone and like the social media has kind of like changed things. And I think in the car industry we've seen like things like the Frankfurt Motor Show and the Geneva Motor Show and all of that. That's pretty much all gone, like, or dead to some degree. Like, and that's a much bigger industry than ours. So, like, if those oaks aren't, those guys aren't willing to spend money to put on a stand,
Yeah.
what future does, maybe the music industry have in that sense? Maybe it does go to online. We have to see where it goes, guys.
Well, I think obviously they also look at the amount of people they think would rock up, because there's no point, if only a third of the audience shows up, for that. So I think
Yeah.
it's not necessarily like a money, thing for them. It's whether or not there will be people to look at it. No point in setting up this killer stand, taking all of your expensive guitars, putting it
Yeah.
on there, and then 20 people rock up.
So the hot news for this week is, well, maybe nothing, because we're waiting for all the new releases with NAMM coming up. And maybe the topic involved there is it something that's going to go away? Is it something
I
that's...
hope not, because I really would love to go to NAMM.
It's really cool. Like, I always enjoyed NAMM way more than Frankfurt, just because it's a bit more rock and roll. The thing with Frankfurt is usually it's like the Germans like their Scorpions and the 80s stuff and whatever. So there's a lot of hair metal kind of stuff being played, like demonstrating things. Whereas NAMM, that does happen, but it's a little bit more diverse, and you see more American artists. Whereas at Frankfurt, like you do see some American artists, but it's a lot of guys like the Thomas Blugs and people like
It's
that.
the
and
European people that you don't really know.
But
Yeah.
you should.
Into. Yeah, no,
But
I
you
mean,
probably
it's not
should,
that they-
yeah. But I mean, it's
Definitely
also,
should.
also that changed a long time ago. I mean, I remember a time when going to product launches at like movie theaters and like being 5-star dining and going on a freaking riverboat and all sorts of crazy stuff, because these brands are like, they want to impress you with how much money they got and how amazing what they do is.
And now they don't give a shit. It's like, either you
Well,
buy my
they-
guitar or you don't.
Budgets have gone down. It's like
Yeah.
changed already. Probably like 2014, you could already see it's
Sure.
like it's starting to shift. So the realities of the modern world, things have changed. The way brands market things have changed. So for you watching, if you ever get to go to NAMM or something like that, do it. If you have to travel from South Africa, I can't really recommend it, because the trip is really not great, like 36 hours or more, depending on where you connect through. So that's not fun. But when you're there, and by the last day that you're there, you start to feel more normal, and then you got to come home. So it's a huge time difference, because we like Central European time-ish, But
Yeah. See, I would go to NAMM.
stay for a bit.
And then stay for a week, and then go visit Fender and Taylor. And if I'm
They're not going to let you in after what you said last week. Eh?
who Fender? Okay, screw them. I'll go to Taylor and Gibson.
Gibson's in Nashville.
Damn it, I'll still go to Gibson. I'm closer than what I'm now. Okay.
Well, there's always been Summer NAMM, which is it's always Winter NAMM's the big one in California, and then Summer NAMM is the smaller one in Nashville. But
wow.
Summer NAMM isn't happening this year, as far as I know, and Winter NAMM is now in summer. It's kind of weird. So eventually it's going to move back to January, but next year it's going to April, and then presumably the following year, from what they say, is January again. So we'll see where it goes.
Sure.
But yeah, it's all very
Good luck for
sobering.
your trip.
My brain hurts.
Yeah, it's okay. You'll be fine. You want to give the guitar back, by the way?
Dude, my leg is going numb because I'm
Let-
kind of like.
Let me put it back.
There we
I
go.
mean, it's not that heavy actually for a Les Paul, but
It's not, but I've had my toe up, so
thanks, Mark.
useless information for anybody.
Yeah, useless information.
Let me just stop that guitar recording.
Yeah, you go ahead. In the meantime, we got hot news again, because I've decided the other hot news is go buy an Earthquakers devices pedal at Marshall Music. This is not a shill. I'm not a shill. Yes, I am.
What?
Anyway, the hot topic of the week: upgrading guitars. Is it worth your time? Is it worthwhile? Is it worth changing things on a guitar to make it better, or is it sort of a waste of time? I don't know. I mean, obviously Seymour Duncan and Damasio will tell you you should totally upgrade your guitar, and other guitar makers who are like, our pickups are the best, would be like, don't, leave it as it is. It's a great guitar. So I don't know. I think we've all done it to some degree. I mean, for myself, I definitely did it in my earlier music career, especially when I was gigging. You're trying to get like a particular sound. You don't know the bucks to hit that. So you like research all the pickups and find out the pickup that should give you that sound, you know? Not usually, it didn't usually work that way, but
Yeah.
because there's so many more sort of things in the signal chain of what a guitar is. A guitar is like a system of parts that all have an effect. Some guitars are more than the sum of their parts. They like surprise you by what they do for what they are. And other guitars, it's got all the best parts and it kind of isn't the sum of its parts. It just isn't that good.
Yeah,
You know, sometimes things don't work together. And I think with upgrading guitars, it's a bit unpredictable.
Yeah, I mean, you buy a guitar because you're buying the unit, you know what I mean? You're buying the way it's assembled and what it is.
Yeah.
The way, and then you're going to buy it and go straight away, you're going to go and change things around, I don't know. I suppose if it's got really like crappy like tuners or something and you want to change that, you know, to your favorite things.
I guess it depends on the price point you're buying a guitar at, because there are people who really, I think they're a bit crazy, who go and buy like a custom shop Gibson and they'll immediately change the pickups for like Tom Holmes pickups or throwback pickups or something. And I'm
Or
like,
locking tuners.
no.
That is an upgrade.
Why would you change the like custom buckers that are like the best pickup this company makes, theoretically, for something else? I guess it's a taste thing, but there's people who buy stuff of that price with the intention of changing the pickups.
That's crazy.
So I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
Like, play it for
I
a
don't
bit.
get that,
Maybe
yeah.
it's like don't make that like assessment. And I think with cheaper guitars, it kind of has that as well. Like sometimes you think, okay, I'm buying this Mexican thing or this Indonesian thing, and I'm going to need to change something. And you play it, and you're like, actually, it's great.
These days,
You know?
you're going to pick up the cheaper ones and you'll be so surprised. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
goodness. I mean, for the price point of this is flipping amazing.
It is great. I've actually,
You know?
I really wanted to buy that
That's
guitar
really
even
good.
before it came in, because I saw it and I was like, wow, that's
And
something
it
that
feels
I dig.
amazing,
And
you know?
I've so far managed to avoid buying it,
Well,
but
yeah.
I don't know. Did I make a mistake bringing it? Yeah.
Well, but
Oh no.
you know,
Mark's
you've
wife.
never had a you won't.
It's become a thing now.
Yeah.
Okay, we won't mention
Well, your
Mark's
wife
wife.
hasn't heard the next episode yet, because while we were recording this, the previous episode actually hasn't gone out yet. It's going out the same day we're recording this, so we'll find out if
Oh,
if you're
yes.
in trouble. You don't even know if you're in trouble yet.
No, I'm not.
Yet.
So upgrading guitars, like I've tried all the pickup things, I've tried the machine heads. I must say the machine head thing I think is like an upgrade that a lot of guitars could do with, you know, because like some guitars, the stock machine heads, I like locking machine heads. I don't have any guitars with locking machine heads now, which is weird because usually all my guitars do, but I'm not going to drill holes in custom shops. You know? But
Why not? Live a little. It's an upgrade.
I have upgraded
It'll
something
make it
on
more
those
expensive.
I did upgrade something on those guitars. I actually changed the strap buttons on both of them for shallow strap locks.
Okay.
Because I just find the extra peace of mind of this thing not hitting the
Yeah,
ground
goodness.
is quite good. But you
Which happened, the one with yours, eh? Did it?
yeah, it happened with one of my guitars, but thankfully nothing expensive.
Yeah.
That's actually the only thing I like changed on my PRS as well. It's just
Strap locks.
Strap locks.
I think strap locks, any guitar you
Because
buy.
I've hated
Yeah.
it, eh? I
Really?
couldn't stand those things, yeah.
Really, how do you keep it on? Do you just like not thrash
funny,
like a crazy
funny
person?
enough, I use duct tape.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. And then some,
So you don't use the Grolsch washers like people
no,
do?
man, it's like it just makes I just make the thing really stiff, and then you know, so it really like grips on proper, you know. And
Okay.
yeah, I just find
Duct
that
tape.
instead of having this little huge thing on the end of your guitar, I mean, I
But
just
strap locks these days aren't
They're
like
not big.
Is
huge,
it?
huge anymore. Yeah, the one I
cheap
got is
as-
like
oh wow,
it literally
because
just clicks over the.
okay, I must actually check him out
Yeah,
at,
maybe you should
at
check
Marshall
out
Music,
some
you know.
new ones. TM. Copyright. Okay. Glint in the eye, sparkle in the teeth.
Yeah,
Yeah, but back to the upgrade. For me, the only thing I've ever felt that I would want to change on a guitar is pickups. You know, it's like
Really? So not machine heads.
well. I think I've been in a position, luckily enough, where I've had guitars where I didn't want to change the machine heads. You know, so
Like machine heads for me, like I've modified a bunch of like Japanese Ibanez's and things like that. Because I had one where somebody just gave me this like literal piece of shit, and I changed the new pick guard, different pickup configuration, whatever, and it sounded amazing. I went to humbucker size P90s, and it was just awesome. Like it sounded amazing, but it needed some other work. I mean, it's had substantial work at various points over the years, even been refinished. I don't have it anymore. I actually gave it to a mate of mine. I shed a few tears because I'm trying not to be like how would you say, nostalgic over gear or whatever. But like that was the one thing actually surprisingly that got me, is like this thing that I got for free that was a piece of shit, just because it, like, I played so many gigs and did so many recordings and stuff. But that guitar, like the machine heads were heinous. You know, they were like to the point of you'd like bend a note and you just watched it like the machine head turning and you're like, what? Yes. And I had a few others actually. I tried to recapture the lightning in the bottle of that particular 82 Ibanez Blazer. I actually bought another 82 Ibanez Blazer, and I tried to put the same pickups in, and it was terrible.
Wow!
Like, so, you know, the guitar is sometimes more than the sum of its parts or whatever.
Yeah.
I put the same parts on, and it was terrible. And then I got an 83 Roadstar too, which is the next thing. Terrible. So it's just like that one, for whatever reason, was great. So I don't know, like some successes, some failures, but they, like, I did the pickup thing, like you've said. I've also, with some guitar, like I made a parts caster where I like bought a neck and I put it on a Squire body and like refinished it.
How did you find those?
It was actually, it's a good guitar now with the pickups that are in it, but it took 4 pickup swaps before it became a good guitar. No, I also gave it away.
I don't know, man. I just found like when you just chucking a bunch of parts together, just my limited experience with doing that is just, it just doesn't feel tight. It doesn't feel
not always like a cohesive thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think
you were saying pickups. Sorry, I went.
No. Like, I'm just thinking what you said, because you said you put like humbucker size P90s in it, and for me, with the Yamaha Revstar that I had, I actually wanted to change those pickups, and one of the things I wanted to put in was humbucker size P90. But the problem is finding that in South Africa is
I bought
a
them.
mission.
I bought them from overseas at the time, but I also tried 3 different sets before
you got the one
I wanted. So it's like, it becomes like, it's quite a deep hole that you can get into of trying different stuff, and it actually ends up costing you quite a bit of money, because if you nail it the first time, you kind of save money. You've bought a cheaper guitar or whatever, you're upgrading it. You've saved money now because you've made it great. But if you don't nail it on the first or the second pickup change,
and that's so difficult, because like you said, you could have the pickups that you know works in another guitar.
It just doesn't fit in the one.
What I even try to do with this parts caster of mine is I actually put the same humbucker size P90s in it, and it did not play nice at all. I tried a different brand, like a hotter one, and then it was great. And it's that guitar still got those pickups in it, but it's just like, it's weird because, you know, obviously you're not a tonewood kind of guy. I know this, but it's just interesting, like how all the things on a guitar seem to have an effect subliminally somehow on a tone. Like Paul Reed Smith's whole vibe is, he says everything on a guitar is subtractive. In other words, taking away from the fundamental note that the pickup is picking up. So that's how he sort of models it. So he says, okay, well, when you do this to a guitar, then it removes these frequencies. And,
doesn't it again, like for me, it's like when it comes to electric guitars, tonewood personally, and I mean, this is going to come further, like is a myth. But when it comes to construction,
I'd throw the coffee in your face, but it's hot.
But when it comes to the construction of the guitar,
water though, don't taste me.
So let me just move that away. But when it comes to the construction of a guitar, it's a whole different story, you know, because that for me, and I mean, there's various tests that you can go look at. Like for me, the main thing that makes the difference in tone is pickup and distance from string, and where that is located on the bridge. So
maybe the mass of the strings as well.
Obviously, like lighter, heavier strings, obviously that plays a part. But the essential is the pickup, where it's located on the on the string from the bridge, and how close it is to the strings. You know, that makes, if tonewood makes a difference. You know, like let's say I know everybody's going to argue with me, but if
pitchforks out already, man.
I know, but if that makes a difference, I can promise you the pickup and the distance from a string makes 90% of the difference. So then you have to ask yourself, like, really, you know, are you buying the guitar for the tonewood or for?
Look, I think you should like try as much of that as possible. You know, like definitely, like your pickup heights can save you a lot of bucks, and especially even from changing pickups.
So pickup height and the type of pickup. I mean, the magnet type from the pickup, the whatever. I mean, so that for me is where the sound difference in every guitar lies.
I can say, like, you know, changing the magnets on a pickup, that makes a difference to the tone.
Because I personally feel if you have exactly the same guitar exact, like let's say like theoretically, because you
Could
can't
exist,
you
but it
couldn't-
can't, you know.
You can't. So so let's say you have exactly the same guitar. One is made like one is like just mahogany and one is just maple. You know, my question really is like, how much of the wood will you be hearing?
I think you'd be hearing a lot.
But if
it
you're
was
swapping
that-
pickups, that's the thing now. So if the pickups, you know, that's where I come in. So definitely, like, I mean, let's say for argument's sake, tone wood, you know, does make a difference. And I mean,
We're gonna have
like,
that at one day on this.
Yeah.
We're gonna like put aside an hour and just
Yeah,
like,
no, but back to the
back to
upgrades
upgrading
thing.
things.
You know, so for me, construction of guitar makes a difference. Whether it's a fixed neck, neck
Do you
through,
mean more the neck joints or
bolt on, or that type of thing.
I kind of agree with that having an effect on the way the strings vibrate, because like we've seen with the PRS thing of a custom 24 versus a CE 24, bolt on maple neck on the CE versus set mahogany neck on a custom 24 with the same pickups.
Yeah.
They do sound
Yeah.
not just the variance between like a pickup wind and it's like vastly different.
Yes.
Like vastly different with the same bodywoods and maple top and
Yeah, I
mahogany.
was shocked. Eh?
and also the points where the string connects to the guitar, so the nut
You
and
like
the bridge.
the sound of plastic and the sound of
No,
metal.
so like obviously, like if you have a tusk nut or a bone nut or whatever, and whatever bridge you have, for me, those are the aspects that changes the sound of a guitar. But mainly above all else is the pickup. So back to the upgrading part of it. That's why I feel like upgrading a guitar. Sure, you can change tuners, you can change,
That's like a
frets.
quality of life thing. Is a
yeah,
tuner
but the
thing,
pickup I
It's
feel
like-
is where it's at. But
But
that's
I mean,
what you're
there's
saying.
also people who like claim that like a heavier machine head gives you more sustain, or things like that. Do you remember those things they used to sell? The fat finger that like
No.
clips on your headstock? It's like a brass like weight.
You're joking.
Clips on the headstock that supposedly
Where've I
gives you
been?
more sustain.
No.
But here comes the well,
Gets rid of dead spots is the thing they say. So I don't know.
and that's where I'm going to come again and say like, well, how much sustain do you want from your guitar? Because think about it, how long are you actually going to hold a note?
No, I'm planning to hold a note for years. Like I want to be like visibly older on a video from like holding a note. Right?
Yeah. So does it really matter? No, this is more sustain. Are you going to hold a note for 8
that,
bars?
yeah.
But that was the thing in the especially 80s guitar construction, and me like having upgraded a bunch of 80s Fujigen Japanese made Roadstars and Blazers. Everything was brass, like the bridge is brass, the saddles are brass, the bridge block is huge and heavy and brass, the guitar weighs a ton, all of this, and all of that supposedly gives it sustain, But I mean, he has like, if I could say the counter to that, I have a Telecaster with steel saddles, not brass. Brass is the like, that's the thing. It's got steel saddles. It's a bolt-on neck, and the thing sustains like crazy, like to the point of it's a little bit stupid for a bolt-on guitar. So like, I don't think it's a hard and fast rule. I think if you have people saying, "Oh, this particular thing will do this," I don't think it's that quite that cut and dried. Yes, to a degree, but I think also we have like there's a mental aspect to this of like, I remember being in the shop a couple of years ago, like right when I started for Marshall. I don't work in retail, by the way. I was just like there, and the dude was like pulling a couple of guitars off the rack, and he's like, "Oh yeah, maple fingerboard, definitely brighter. I know, I want a darker sound." It's like, but you haven't played it. Like what the fuck? I was just like, in my mind, it's like, you haven't actually tried it. Like, why would... So you're looking at it because the color of it is lighter, therefore it's brighter, or is it the conventional wisdom?
But that is, again, also part of my argument is the fact that you could look at that and say... Because
Like,
that
he put
is
it
the
back on the
general
rack.
rule
He
of
didn't,
thumb,
like-
that a maple guitar will be...
Yeah, but it's the rule of thumb based on internet law. It's not the rule of thumb based
But that's
on
what I mean.
playing the guitar.
Yeah, but that's bringing me back again to Tonewood again. So now after everything you said, pickups, brass saddles, all of that, like does having a 1/4-inch maple cap on top of him, or like does it change the sound?
In internet law, yes.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
See, well, this is maybe a longer topic for another time as well, and I'm going to make a note of this because it's actually a pretty interesting topic. Is like how much of the marketing around a guitar and what the internet law of it is, how much of that does actually have an effect on the tone? Because again, is the fact that it's a thick maple cap or a thin maple cap, does that make it brighter? Because the conventional wisdom is maple is brighter.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I've also played some very here's the devil's advocate on that. The thing that won us both over about custom shop Les Pauls, the brightness, and it's a mahogany thick neck, mahogany body. It's got a maple cap, And it's got a nylon nut.
Yours has a maple cap.
Oh, yours does too. It's just it isn't flame maple. Yours is a plain maple cap. But these have nylon nuts, by the way, which in internet law is darker tone. You know,
Yeah.
the vintage thing is nylon nuts, and that's supposed to be darker tone. But these guitars are as bright as a typical Telecaster.
Yeah,
But that could also just go back to the pots that's in the
It's got
guitar.
500k pots. So, I mean, 500k are normal on humbuckers. Most humbucking guitars are 500k pots. So it's like, does the conventional wisdom even apply to those guitars? And it's not just these two guitars. It's all the custom shops we've tried are very bright. So it's like, is it the pickup? Probably. I think it's probably the pickup,
100%.
Yeah, so you win, bud.
But even there, I mean,
All the trolls out there.
The conventional wisdom on pickups is Alnico 2 magnets, Alnico 3 magnets a bit darker, Alnico 5 magnets and 4s are brighter. These are Alnico 3 magnet humbuckers and they're as bright as a Telecaster. So it's like...
On that, back to the upgrading topic, I would love to try the Fishman Fluence pickups, especially like the
I
great
have them
me too.
in a PRS actually, and they are
Really?
very good. Very, very good. Like I've tried to buy that guitar back from the guy I sold it to and he won't sell it back to me.
Did you have the humbuckers in or the...
I had the Fishman classic humbuckers in a PRS mirror.
Oh.
And I've owned two mirrors. I've had one with regular pickups and one where I changed them.
And comparing with the PRS pickups and the Fishmans?
Vastly preferred the Fishmans. It's got like a classic sort of PAF kind of sound, bit of brightness, a little nice bit of snap to it, and then you've got a hot rodded setting where it's got a little bit more push, where it's kind of like a less pokey JB kind of Seymour Duncan JB kind of thing. So you can get to both those sounds, and you got a coil split as well. So it's very good, and like no hum on the coil split, which is pretty sweet. So
Nice.
yeah, I dig them. I would say like depending on the guitar you put them in, like they're a very good upgrade, but on something like a Les Paul, you get a battery plate where it's the shape of the back plate on the guitar that actually has the battery in it. So then that, you can just plug a USB into the back of your guitar and you can charge
You're
it,
joking.
which is cool. And I mean, it's a lithium-ion battery pack, so the battery goes for literal years. Otherwise, it's a 9-volt, which will go. I think they say 600 or 700 hours or something. I never changed the battery.
That's a few gigs.
Yeah, it's a lot of gigs. But like on a guitar where they don't have those accessories, like they have it for a Strat as well, where it replaces the black back plate on a Strat. So that's also cool. But for, say, my PRS mirror, I had to actually put it under the pickguard. And, I mean, you have to unscrew the pickguard to change the battery. I never changed the battery in a few years, so I don't know actually how long it goes.
And have you tried the Strat ones, or have you heard the Strat Fishmans?
Yeah, they're pretty cool as well. I mean, I know you're busy shopping right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm interested in them in the set of Strat ones.
The Strat ones. Yeah, they're also really cool. I can't say that I've spent a lot of time with them. I've just played them a little bit. I played them at NAMM actually. So I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, the problem in that setting is you don't have a lot of time. You got to be somewhere.
It's very noisy.
It's pretty noisy. Sounded great. I mean, there you got the backplate. You also get the Greg Koch telly set where in the what do they call it, the jack plate on a telly, it's got that sort of cup. It's actually the battery's built into that. So you got a USB port next to the
jack input.
the jack input on the bottom, which is quite cool. So that's also really cool. Those are awesome. I was actually going to put those in a guitar, and then I ended up buying a different telly. But,
Sure.
But here's my question now. So, for instance, the Strat said back to upgrading, because this is questions that's coming into my head the whole time, is like now, obviously, you hear the Fishman Fluence Strat set in a Strat. How do you know it's going to like work in yours? That's I think my biggest issue is like you have to.
The only way you know is you got to try it. But the problem is
now you spent $8,000 for new pickups and you don't dig it.
Well, that's the worry with it, of course. When you do that, I mean, like I've done it where I've changed pickups 4 or 5 times in one guitar, and you take a hit every time you sell the pickups. So it's like it's not like the store that you bought it from is going to take it back. You've soldered those wires. That is very used.
Sure.
So that's one of the things. I think it's something where it's worthwhile if it's a structural or a quality of life upgrade, like machine heads. I think that's a cool upgrade. Locking tuners, every guitar should have locking tuners. Let's be honest. If you change your own,
included.
Yeah, why not?
If
you change your own
Planet Waves,
strings,
I dare you to put Planet Waves locking tuners on.
I did.
What on your no?
I had them on my Ibanez.
Yes.
I've had them on 3 guitars, and they're pretty cool. The only issue I've had is, and it's a common issue with them, is the high E, because it like auto cuts the end off. if you don't like tighten the thumb screw like really like almost like with a like a pliers or something, it'll just cut the string off and the string will flop and then you can't get it back in.
Oh, no.
Damn. All
So
right.
like that happened to me so many times until I started to realize, I had to use a little bit more force than fingers on it. But on some guitars, like on a GNL Blues Boy semi-hollow that I had, which is probably my favorite guitar I've ever had, I've tried to buy it back from my friend Lee and he won't sell it back to me. Screw you, Lee. I love you, bro. I love you. But I actually bought it in the States and brought it back with me. And like, so it's got some memories or whatever, but it was very neck heavy because the semi-hollow telly, quite light. So it was doing that. So, and it had shallow locking tuners, which are very heavy. I actually changed them out for Graphtec locking tuners that are composite. So they're light. I don't know what composite means.
Oh, there you
if it's
lost
like
some sustain because they're lighter.
No, the guitar sounded pretty much the same, but no neck dive anymore. So
I'm just being a dick.
But even like on an SG, that's a cool upgrade.
Yeah, you can't remember. You didn't think that machine heads would have such an influence on the balance of
when
the
you
guitar.
take the machine heads off a guitar and you hold them, you're like, oh, okay, that's quite a lot of metal, So it's like. It's a worthwhile upgrade. If your guitar's neck heavy, change to like a Graphtec or even the Planar Waves are a bit lighter, but you can actually check the weight on them. Like you got a telly at the moment, a thin line telly that you got from me, where it had regular Fender, non-lockings, and I put lockings on, and the lockings are like 20 grams heavier, so it made no difference to the balance of the guitar. But I actually checked that because now I've realized, oh shit, like hollow body guitar, you hang all that weight on there, the thing's gonna
feel like
So like that kind of quality of life I get. I mean, I've changed the bridge block on a Strat, by the way. It's a big bridge block and it did make a difference. So again,
and also I think
that's the conventional wisdom. Big bridge block makes for more sustain. It didn't actually make more sustain. It just made the guitar seemingly brighter. So I don't know.
And I think also upgrades that I've thought about in the past but never have done, which isn't as glamorous, but it's like upgrading your pots, stuff like that.
That could be a huge.
That is worthwhile. Like sometimes the taper of a cheap pot, it's not great when you're rolling back. So you change that, that'll help. It's not really gonna. I mean, some people say when you change the pots, it makes a difference to tone. Only if it's a different value. Like you're dreaming if you think like a different 500k pot to the 500k pot that's there. If it's fully open. There is some variance in the pots. I mean, they have up to 15% variance in pots, by the way. So, like, you could have a 500k pot that measures like 450 or something. So there is that. But in theory, if the values are correct, they should sound the same. It's just going to be down to the taper and how it feels. Like, I mean, PRS has got this down. I think Duesenberg as well with volume pot, how loose it feels because it's really cool for rolling back. Whereas like some guitars, like Gibson's generally a little bit tighter. So the rolling back can be a little harder on those. There's some guitars where it's like very like it just doesn't want to play with you. So I don't know, but like changing the switch, maybe I've done that too. The switch thing can make a difference.
Jack input can also
not tone, but again just like longevity. Because some guitars have got like a printed circuit board switch, and then you change it to like a USA made Oak Grigsby or a CRL or whatever. It just feels a bit more positive, and if something goes wrong with it, it's a little you can do something about it. It's not a circuit board,
Like your Duesenberg switch, bud.
train
rail.
Gear of the week first week, sold it the second week.
Sold second week. Got brown eye. And I think also, one thing that I had on my bass, which I think is brilliant, is a Neutrik like jack input that actually looks.
Jack.
That for me.
That's cool, except when you forget to unplug it and you walk away and pull your amp over because the jack doesn't let go.
Yeah. That's also
it's a cool thing, but it depends on the kind of person you are. If you're the kind of person that forgets you're wearing headphones and you walk off, maybe a locking jack is a bad idea for you, but you need wireless headphones. but
or you forget your cable at home, but
then what? Well, here's an upgrade that's easy to do, and you actually did that on your telly, the sanding the neck, which is not really an upgrade, but it is a.
Yeah, if you like the lacquer finish on especially like vintage Fenders, like the copies like the Takayas and the GNL's not really copied, but Leo Fender. But if you get a guitar with that like a thick like poly or nitro finish on the neck, and you don't dig that sort of slickness, you can use something like a 3M Scotch scouring pad. Where you're not actually sanding it, you're just running it along there and roughing the finish. So the finish is still there, but it just feels satin, which is quite cool. But some like poly finishes, sometimes you have to actually sand that right off.
I prefer a satin.
Yeah,
so, I mean, what about like a refinish on a guitar? Is that an upgrade that changes the tone?
Well, I'll be honest. Like, after feeling your your telly, and your neck that's been sanded. What's the correct
Well,
term?
not already sanded. but I
Yeah,
guess
whatever,
roughed up or whatever.
refinished,
Not refinished.
whatever. After doing that, I'm actually like, I would do that to my PRS, like for real, because it feels great.
Yeah, it
It's
feels
going to be
amazing.
harder to do because your PRS, the era it's from is like polyester finish, so it's very tough.
Yeah, I think
It'll be-
mine's a 2000
Yeah,
or
it'd
even
be quite,
earlier. Yeah.
quite tough to get it off there. So, like, that's one of the things is if you're going to actually, like, literally sand the finish off a neck, that's hard to reverse, you know? Like, in my
Yeah.
case, I'm going to play this thing and it's gradually polishing up, and in a couple months from playing, it's
Get
just
again,
going to look
yeah.
like nothing
Back
happened.
again, yeah.
Yeah, then do it again. So, and it would take sort of 20 years of doing that for it to actually hurt the finish.
Yeah.
But in a polyester finish case, I don't know, that could be pretty terminal to try to like sand it, you know.
I know people that are good with stuff like this.
So you've actually refinished your Strat a few times.
Yeah.
Has it actually does it done anything to the tone that you can tell?
No, it hasn't.
Because there's the whole like nitro finish, like it allows the wood to breathe, like the wood is a.
Well,
I mean, does it make a difference?
Love.
There's another topic for another
It's
one.
finished with
carry
nitro at
on,
the moment.
make me sound more right, yeah. Go
It's finished with nitro at the moment, and it hasn't changed the tone. I mean, it's got the same pickups in all along.
Yeah, well, I can attest to that as well. I had my Ibanez refinished,
Yeah.
and it's not the same.
Well, yeah. To
didn't
me,
make
I mean,
any-
you probably found somebody they're gonna have these golden
like
ears.
a spectrum analyzer.
Yeah.
To
I
my
mean,
ears,
I mean-
it sounds.
Yeah, in your room, you're going to put your amp in a different room. It's going to sound different to what it was in another
I mean,
room.
guitar is so variable. Like, just even the volume. Like, you get the greatest tone at this volume, and then you try to play softer, and it sounds like trash.
Yeah.
Even with software, like that's the thing is like even plugged in with software to like studio monitors, just the volume of the studio monitors playing
Yeah,
to you
yeah,
makes
exactly,
a difference to
yeah.
how your perception of the tone is. So it's like. This is like, I think why guitar is so fascinating is it's so incredibly subjective and it's so
Yeah.
hard to substantiate some of the stuff. So like people will like fight each other to death about this kind of stuff. I have a more of a live and let live kind of thing. Like you believe what you want to believe, you crazy bastard. We'll believe what we believe. But
Yeah, you're going to play it. You know?
I think,
Exactly.
I think
Yeah.
probably with all this stuff, the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's probably not an extreme. And like to me, with the upgrading guitars thing, like anything, it's the law of diminishing returns. When it comes to an expensive guitar, you spend $5,000 on a guitar versus $1,000. It probably isn't $4,000 better tone. It's maybe it's like a 5 or a 10% difference, but you're paying so much more for it. The law of diminishing returns. The more amount of money you spend for something, the less the incremental improvement is. But to some people, that's worth it for the incremental improvement. So with sort of the law of diminishing returns sort of point that I was making there, how it applies, I think, to upgrading is you can spend a certain amount of money on upgrading a guitar. You can throw all sorts of money at upgrading a guitar, but at some point you've got to say enough. Like the returns from the changes diminish. The law of diminishing returns. As you spend more money, there's less of a incremental difference. And also, if you're just changing the same Seymour Duncan or Damasio pickups in two different models, you're not really necessarily upgrading. You're just getting different tones in there, and you've spent the same amount of money each time.
I think something that also makes a difference is a good setup. I mean,
that's where I would start.
Yeah,
do you know what
100%.
kills me, to be honest? There are people who like, I bought this guitar, why isn't it perfect? It's like, dude, you bought a guitar, you should have it set up. Like, unless it's somehow magically perfect out of the box, which it usually isn't, set it up, man. That's going to make more difference than pretty much anything. Because like the techs are going to set the pickup heights and give it all the little tweaks.
make sure the nuts right. And that's
I mean that's a huge difference as well. So
And when you have it set up by someone that actually knows what they're doing, not some brew on Samus that does setups. No, really, because I feel like, there's a difference between, like, for instance, for me with JD Custom and Taylor's, and Grand Fisher with these guitars, like, they are next level when it comes to setups. And there's a difference between a setup and a pro setup.
Yeah, but there's different. Mark Duncan as well. I've got to
he
throw
does
his
a great
name in there
job
too.
as well.
He does. This guy's. We're just talking about that's all the West Strand now covered.
yeah, we got the West Rand covered. Sorry if you live somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, I don't like. For me, Grant for sure, like 4 years. Like wherever he's been, I would drive after him because I know when my guitar leaves him, it'll be perfect.
And
And
that's-
the
that's-
same-
that's also a part of it. Like sometimes you just
Yes,
find your guy
amazing.
that you deal with. So maybe it's Grant, maybe it's JD, maybe it's Mike. Maybe if you live in Cape Town, it's Foster Guitar Works or Gareth at Tom's or whatever. It's like there's all these guys. Find the guy that knows how to set your guitar up the way you like it. And sometimes it's communication, because there's also that whole thing of like, well, here's my guitar, set it up, and the guy's like, he doesn't know how you play. Like, what if you're like a crazy like punk basher? You get the thing back and it buzzes. The reason it buzzes is because you're bashing, like you're playing so hard, you know. So sometimes it's a bit of communication there. But
Yeah.
like some of the guys are quite scientific. They'll say, "Do you want 1.5 mil, you know, action 2 mil?"
Lord, bro, I want the strings. I don't have time to press the strings down because I play too fast.
I don't have time to press the down. We're digressing a little bit. Maybe that's also a topic for another time. guitar
But that
setup,
is
but,
definitely an upgrade that people don't think about. You know, it sounds silly, but that's really I
change your whole guitar.
I think it's a huge game changer, because like sometimes it's like a different guitar when you get it back. You know, if a guy like gets it spot on for you, then you know that's something you get back and it sounds a little better. I mean, a string change is also somewhere to start. I know people are like, oh, I got to change this, I got to change that. Like, when last did you change your strings? You know,
And also just finding your gauge, right? There might be, you know, different guitars sound different on this.
yeah. Some guys will use a heavier gauge on a certain guitar or a shorter
On a
scale
certain
length,
guitar,
or
yeah.
you know,
I'm playing nines for the first time in my life, and I'm digging
your life
it.
is
That's,
easy.
yeah,
now.
I mean, I
I'm
had a
digging
Strat that had nines on that sounded and felt amazing.
See, there we got another topic. I'm just making notes here as we go, like string gauge. Anyway, I think we hit the point where we've kind of milked this topic dry, and unfortunately, there's no more milk production for today. So,
So for upgrades, go visit Marshall Music's website. Go check out. They've got
pickups and
Pickups,
machine heads and
sheen heads, pots,
knobs, all sorts of things. Anyway, geez, Mike, we really
Although,
get
yeah,
the, knowing, the juvenile knowing laughs. It's like, how old are we again?
12.
Yeah, at heart, yeah.
12 going on 11.
So, gear page topic of the week. We're going to move away from the hot topic, and this one actually could also be lengthy, but hopefully we can keep it a bit short. We keep saying we want to try and make this shorter, and we just keep talking, but it's fun. That's the problem, is
We
we're
dig
enjoying
it.
ourselves. So, the gear page topic of the week is: what would you like to say to your young musician self? And I think that's a really cool one, but we're going to do it as it applies to gear, because there's some people in this thread who are like, I would have told my young self to learn this scale sooner, you know, or I would have learned piano and abandoned the guitar. I'm not saying that. Gear specifically, what gear advice would you give your young musician self? I'll start us off there. Buy a better guitar. Stop trying to upgrade guitars. I know it actually comes to this, because I did this for years, and I just found mostly it was more of a miss than a hit for me. And I'm you guys know me with research. I'm meticulous. I'll read everything I possibly can
That's true.
twice, and then I'm like, okay, now I understand.
And then
this
go
one.
double check it.
Exactly. Sometimes it just didn't go as expected. Like, more often than not, it didn't go as expected. And sometimes you're pleasantly surprised. But I would have saved myself a lot of money. And I think you feel this as well, of like, if I'd saved up and bought the best guitar I could possibly buy, and then the next guitar that I bought was also the best guitar I could possibly buy, instead of trying to like save a bit of money and I'll think later I'll change this, later I'll change that, I should have just bought an American guitar straight out of the box 20 years ago, and that would have saved myself a lot of trouble.
look, I think
I'd probably still be playing that guitar.
Yeah. Look, for myself, I think and this is probably obvious. Just buy the right guitar for the style of music you love. You know what I mean? Which is obvious. Most guys are going to do that.
Yeah,
you know?
to a degree.
And then at that point, once again, rather just save up the money and get a good one. So I agree with your point there. So I can't really, I'm not going to try and make something up.
I think it would also be maybe as well, like when you mention style of music, it's very rare that somebody could have one or two guitars and have enough guitars, like, you know, for all the tones they want. So, you know, also what I did a lot of was trying to buy the most versatile guitar possible, where I'd have like all the switching options and whatever. And that also led to the pickup swaps and whatever. And there, I think, I mean, you're the versatility guy, but like I found it was always an inherent compromise. I didn't quite get the Telly or the Strat tone out of this humbucker.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, now like your PRS C24 is a good sort of exception that sort of proves the rule, in the sense of it kind of does do that really well, but there's very few guitars that do. So like trying to hit the versatility thing, it's always an inherent compromise to some degree. Like if I just bought a really good like American Telly 20 years ago and a really good Les Paul 20 years ago and maybe a really good PRS or something,
You wouldn't have been searching.
I probably would have not spent as much money. Like honestly, I've spent way too much money on guitars. I have two guitars now,
trying to land on them,
but trying to land on the right ones. And like, that's some of the fun though, trying different things.
I would
that's
100% agree on that. Like telling your younger self to like figure out what you dig and go for that. No, I agree 100% because again, that's my fault. You know, as I'm I'm not the type of person when I gig I want to take 4 or 5 guitars with. You know, I want to take one guitar with, so I want one guitar that does everything.
I always take 2, man. Like
as a backup, but I mean, not like I won't take like 5 guitars because this song
Different
needs
sounds.
this song needs this song needs that. But in retrospect, it actually does. You know, so that's the thing. Is like instead of trying to have the thing that does everything,
Each got their own thing.
have the thing that does it good. You know, so I agree with you. Like telling your younger self, like, you know, if it's a song that needs a Strat, don't get an Ibanez that almost sounds like a Strat.
Yeah.
Get a Strat. You know, so
yeah, it's just one of those things. Like another thing I'd also say to my younger self is buy a better amp. Like first up, because that's something where I really fell down as a young guitar player. It's like you knew me. I like had every pedal, tried every pedal or whatever, and then sometimes the amp was a compromise. I'd be like, oh, just trying to get a good clean tone from the amp or whatever.
Yeah.
But you know, I should have spent more money on the amp. You know, like. It was also, I mean, I had a PV Classic 30 at one point, which is a fantastic amp. They're fantastic valve amps, but it kept breaking. So, you know, that actually made me go like, okay, well, I'm not going to go with something else. And that was like a whole rabbit hole that I didn't need to go with, like hybrid valve amps and solid state amps.
But also, like, to your younger self, like, understand that amps also make a difference. I think a lot of us...
You do need more than one as well.
Yeah, when we were younger, we didn't think... Like, I'm thinking now when I was 18, 19, back at Musica Instruments in Pretoria, you know, like, I didn't know that Fender sounded like this. Mesa sounded, not that Mesa was available back then, Marshall. For me, it wasn't like I want a Marshall tone, I want a Fender tone, it's just I want an amp.
Yeah,
and
that is the thing, though, when you don't know.
And now thinking back, like I would have actually spent more time listening to what the amps sound like as well. Now I know, but back then, you just want to be loud.
Yeah, I think to that point, like, to my younger self, you know, try more stuff, because it's just don't necessarily buy the stuff, but like you know, as a younger person, especially at a music store, you can feel a little bit intimidated by the sales people who they're trying to help you and they're also trying to sell you something. So sometimes they can be a bit overbearing, sometimes they can be a bit dismissive. It depends on where you go. Like hopefully that wherever you shop, you don't have that experience, but that can happen where the guy's like, oh, this kid's not going to spend money, so then he doesn't let you try anything. But you do need to actually sort of like force yourself in there and go like, I'm a serious buyer, but I do need to try a few things. Like let me have a little bit of time. Let me go into the quiet room and try the stuff. Because like it's very easy when you're young to, here's another one, don't believe what your buddies tell you about guitars and amps. Because like that's what always happens. Your buddy tells you like, this is the thing. This is the thing. And then you go and get it and you're like, this is terrible. Like, why did I believe him? But like, because I didn't know.
Unless your buddy's Mike, because Mike is actually the only...
but 20 years ago, maybe not.
Yeah,
you know,
you're all just figuring yourselves out.
You're all figuring it out. So like, do your research. Don't always just believe what everyone tells you is the thing to get. Because like, I think that's also like, because certain brands are more pervasive than other brands, then people are like, that is the thing to get. Whereas maybe a single coil like Strat style guitar isn't you. Maybe you do need to play like a double humbucking Ibanez or something. Maybe that's you, but you need to go and try all the stuff in the store. Like, but when younger players, and I see this a lot, is they'll like, oh, I want a Strat or I want a Les Paul or whatever, because they have this image in their mind, and that's cool. But that also sometimes that guy is always going to be a Strat guy from the beginning, and other times it's like completely not what he should have played.
Yeah.
He's just bought into the marketing, you know. So it's just one of those things. Like, try as much stuff as you possibly can, young people.
Well, I think now with the internet, because I remember now that you say this, I was at Marshall Music Pretoria, and this guy walked in and wanted to buy his kid a guitar. So he was between a Gibson SG or Epiphone SG, like black and gold dumbuckers, or I think it was a GNL HSS that was in the store as well. So obviously, my perspective, I was like, you're going to get more value for your buck with the GNL, because you've got HSS, you've got coil tap. It's more versatile. Your kid is young. You'll figure his sound out. But I think like 15 or 20 minutes later, the kid walked in, and I was, you know, my first time I asked him was like, what music do you listen to? It's like, no, Angus Young, AC/DC.
Oh, well,
then,
there you go.
I mean, that would have been the completely wrong guitar to sell this kid, because that's...
He wants an SG. Obviously.
Exactly. So, but I mean, imagine now the kid didn't walk in, he would have bought a guitar that's not his thing. You know,
Well,
so
I can say for myself as a young player, I started on humbuckers mostly, and most of my first probably half dozen guitars had humbuckers on, and maybe a single coil or HSH kind of vibe. I had a Washburn that was with the Floyd was the first guitar, and I had a couple of HSS guitars as well. And only later did I really figure out I really prefer single coils, because the problem is all of those guitars were more geared towards the high output humbucker, so the single coils are sort of it's a bit of garnish on the guitar rather than. So I was always like, ugh. That sounds terrible,
Past that.
Speak past that. So it's just one of those things, try as many things as possible. And that was my fault for just assuming, I don't like single coils. And then the first time I actually played a gig with a single coil guitar, because my humbucker guitar broke, I took this other single coil guitar with me, and I plugged it in, and I'm like,
it actually
fairy
works.
dust raining from the heavens, because I'm just like, wow. Yeah. it's so dynamic. And I mean, that's some people also, they don't want single coils because of how revealing it is of your playing. But
here's another thing for younger self. Yes, that guitar is pretty, but it's got a Floyd Rose. Don't buy it.
It's not good for beginners, let's say that.
Yeah.
Setup wise, it's
this was
my
me,
first guitar was a Floyd as well, and it was a nightmare. I didn't know how to change the strings on my own guitar.
Ibanez Ergodyne. I remember this clearly. Ibanez Ergodyne. Didn't know. I think I was playing for a year, and then I was actually playing in church, and then snapped the string. And then what you think is you just carry on playing, bruh. Don't just stop. Don't play.
No, you can't carry on playing.
And then try tuning the guitar while that
you can't. It's just done with one of those. You break a string, it's all over. But it's also about access for some people as well. Your local shop, wherever you are, might have just certain things. So that's also part of it. I think in Joburg, especially in some of the more African music styles, some jazz stuff, the Maskanda stuff or whatever, sometimes you see guys playing pointy Ibanez double locking things in those styles of music. And you know why? It's because where the guitar shop in the area sells those. And that's the only thing they've been exposed to. So that's what they buy, which is completely the wrong thing. They make it sound good, but it's
not the thing.
I think to most people's credit nowadays, most people are more informed now because of the internet. So hopefully when you walk in, you've done a little bit of research, you've watched a few videos on YouTube about what first guitar you should buy.
You've watched Gearvana episodes 1 and 2 so far.
If you're a beginner and you got
everything.
Wow, I'm actually I'm amazed that you're still listening to this, because the rest of this made no sense.
Yeah. And I've got one more thing I tell myself. It's just coming to me today.
Yeah.
Don't sell your pedals. Try and keep them. I know it's you want to use that money.
I made him sell a whole bunch of pedals.
No, but I'm thinking obviously you want to sell the pedal to buy something else. But if I'm thinking back with all of the pedals that I had, if I just put in an effort to keep them, can you how rad would that have been?
I think it depends on what they are, but I agree for the most part, because if you got 10 different variants and different brands of Tube Screamer, not so much, and that's kind of what you did. I think we counted 20 or something crazy. Yeah. It was 20 Tube Screamers. But if you have 2 or 3 variants, you have a Way Huge Green Rhino, an original TS Odo Ace, and maybe a Earthquaker Plumes, you got 3 different Tube Screamers that do different things. But
keep them, because now 20 years down the line, you don't know.
Well, I mean, if you started playing,
you just forgot it.
Yeah, if you started playing guitars in the 80s or 90s, maybe you have an original Rat that's actually worth something now, and that's a great sought after sound. You didn't like it through your Buzzing Bees Marshall valve state or whatever.
Yeah.
But through a good amp in a studio, an original Proco Rat's amazing, or maybe an original Big Muff, like a Russian Big Muff or whatever. Yeah, those sorts of pedals are great. So I agree, definitely. If you can avoid selling pedals,
but that's the thing. If you can avoid that, I think that's key. If you can avoid selling, obviously you sell them to have money to buy the next thing. But if there is a possibility to keep them.
Yeah, because when you revisit pedals, I mean, I've done that.
Yeah,
with our exercise we did, and I found, goodness, it sounds amazing. Why has it been sitting packed away for so long?
Because sometimes you're chasing the flavor of the month. We're easily swayed sometimes by the marketing of this is the amazing thing. Then we're like, oh, this is the thing.
This is what this podcast is about.
I know. Yeah. So it's the duality of man.
Yeah. So keep it, but buy the next thing as well.
Yeah, buy the next thing. So that has been the Gearvana Podcast. Thank you for listening all this way. We're trying to make it shorter. Hopefully by episode 4, we'll be shorter. There's been episode 3. I've been Mike. That's been Dewald. It's still Dewald, by
I'm
the way.
still.
It hasn't changed since the beginning, and it hasn't changed. You're still Mark.
I've had a haircut in the meantime.
Oh yeah, that's true, and a wardrobe change and all of that.
Yeah, still
What
Gibson
also-
though.
What hasn't changed as well, I will say, is how awesome these Rode mics are. Thank you, Rode South Africa, for providing all of the auditory input.
We love Rode.
Aside from our voices, of course. We do actually appreciate Rodecaster Pro on the desk. Definitely check one out if you're doing a podcast of your own, because why not? Everyone should do a podcast, right?
I think so.
We should all listen to each other's podcasts.
This is the first podcast that I've been on, and I'm digging it.
All right, well, this is
such a vibe.
maybe
So-
like number 10 or 12 for me.
So everyone start a podcast.
I think I've got about 300 odd podcast episodes under my belt and different things. So
I'm still trying to find my feet, you know.
okay.
So I'll get there. Me chance.
So yeah, thanks to them. Thanks to Marshall Music for the gear of the week, the guitar of the week as well. And thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. Give the channel a like and a subscribe, and do let us know what you think of his horribly wrong opinion. Thanks, guys. Cheers.